from a table, you're going to find the change in y over the change in x. Okay, so remember the little triangle means change. So what that looks like. First, we're going to find the change in x. So basically, you're just looking at the table and finding a pattern. So from negative 14 to negative 12, we added, and we added 2. Same thing here, and same thing here. Okay, now we're going to find our change in y. So change in y, we added 3, added 3, added 3. When I set this up, I need to put the change in y over the change in x. So I'm looking at the 3 and I'm looking at the 2. So my slope is 3 over 2. That can't be reduced, so that is your answer. Okay, let's do the next table. So we have the change in x. So we're looking and we are adding again. It's not always going to be adding. And then we're finding the change in y. So this time we're subtracting 2 each time. Okay, so I'm going to put the change in y. So the negative 2 over the change in x, so positive 1. Remember, when I have a fraction, I need to reduce it. Negative 2 over 1 is the same thing as negative 2. So our slope is negative 2. Okay, example 3. So I'm going to find my change in x. So I'm adding 1, adding 1. Oh, wait, here I'm adding 2. Okay, here for my change in y, I'm adding 2.5, adding 2.5. Here, I'm adding 5. Okay, so we have 2 different ones, but they should come out to the same thing. So I'm going to set up these 2 fractions. So my first one is 2.5 over 1. Then I'm going to set up the next one as 5 over 2. So when you reduce them or divide them, this should be 2.5. This should also come out to 2.5. So my slope is 2.5, or most of the time it'll be a fraction, so it'll be 5 over 2. Okay, last example of a table. Okay, so here we are adding 2, adding 1, adding 1. For the y, here I'm adding 8, adding 4, adding 4. So I need to set up 2 fractions again. 1 with 8 over 2, and 1 with 4 over 1. When I reduce those, 8 divided by 2 is just 4. 4 divided by 1 is 4. So my slope is 4. Okay. All right, so when finding slope from a graph, you're going to pick 2 points and you're going to count the rise over the run. Okay. Always start with the point to the left, the point furthest to the left that you pick. Okay, so here they've picked 2 points for us. They've picked this one and they've picked this one. So since I'm starting, remember the left is here, the right is here. Since I'm starting with the one on the left, I'm going to go up 1, so that's plus 1. And then I'm going to the right 2, so that would be plus 2. Okay, I'm doing remember it's y over x. So my y number, the direction on the y-axis was 1. The direction on the x was 2. So my slope is 1/2. Okay. When you're picking points, you want to make sure you pick points that are going to be whole numbers. You don't want something in between. So, for example, we don't want to pick this point. We want to pick something that crosses exactly. So like you wouldn't want to pick the 2 because that doesn't cross exactly. So we're going to go ahead and pick those 2. I'm going to start with this one on the left. So this time I'm going down 3 till I get even. So -3. And I'm going right 2, so that's still plus. So the up and down goes on top, so -3 over 2. So my slope is -3 over 2. Okay, the next one. Okay, they picked my points. There is no up and down. There's only an over, so I went +1. Since there's no up and down, I'm going to put a 0 and a 1 at the bottom. If I put this in Desmos, I get 0. So my slope is 0. Another way you can check that, a horizontal line you can make into a Z for a 0 slope. Okay, here we need to pick 2 points. So I'm going to pick those 2. We go down 1, so that's going to be my top number. I don't move left and right, so that's going to be at the bottom. Okay, when 0 is at the bottom, you'll get an error, so that is undefined. You might also see it as no slope. Okay, so this one you can make into an N for undefined or no slope. Okay, another way to remember it. If 0's at the top, that's okay. If 0's at the bottom, that's not okay.